Welcome to the review of the TT eSPORTS Nemesis Switch RGB optical gaming mouse. Thanks to gamers.com.mt for sending this mouse for review. Let's have a look at the unboxing. Let's unplug it and have a closer look at its physical aspects. It does come with a Teflon braided cable. It has a Velcro strap to keep everything tidy. Comes with a gold plated USB connector. And as you can see, this is something I noticed only recently. The cable is slightly to the left of the mouse rather than in the center. As you can see, it has a physical resemblance of another famous mouse, maybe more than one, and this I quite like. It has no coating on the surface. If we had to look at the construction, it's all plastic, has rubber feet, quite large rubber feet. Let's look at the buttons this mouse has. So you get your regular buttons and your profile switch, a textured scroll wheel. And what we get as well on the side are 8 buttons. These 8 buttons can be swapped. There is a lock in the bottom. If I open the lock, so you see the lock is now open, I can proceed to rotate the keys to make sure the lock is always open. This way I have 4 buttons on the side instead of 8, but I can have different combinations. So say I wanted to have the extreme sides having 2 buttons each. I could simply set it up like so. It is important to note that these buttons come numbered 1 to 8 and 9 to 12 respectively, and they do match the top row of a typical keyboard, not the number pad numbers, the top row. So that's the default position. So I can lock them up. Let's connect it and we can see the RGB lighting on it. So we have our solid red color here, which I set. If I press the profile switcher again, we have violet, which I've set as well. If I press it again, we can see some animations. We have the colors moving around and shifting. If I press it again, we have the rainbow shift. Here we have the breathing effect. And we are back to solid red. So we have 5 profiles which we can switch, and the software is quite customizable. Something I did not mention yet is that this mouse has a thumb rest, and I do like a thumb rest on a mouse. It helps keep your thumb away from the surface so it won't drag. It will simply glide with the mouse instead of stopping your movement. Let's have a look at the software customizations we have. So we'll detect the mouse and we can see that we can set pretty much anything we want when it comes to this mouse. Every single button we can set lighting options, we can set performance options, different X and Y sensitivity, different polling rates, different button responses, angle snapping. We can calibrate it to the surface. We can go into our macros and create any macros we want. So as you can see, the software is quite impressive for a mouse that costs €70. It was quite difficult for me at first to grasp, and I had to have a play around with the software, but it has immense potential. So what the mouse might lack physically, it does make up in software. This mouse is so customizable when it comes to the software aspect of it. It is impressive. Something to notice with the LEDs, it's something that slightly annoys me. If we set the LEDs in a synchronized fashion, so you have your synchronize option and set the color once for all the buttons, all the LEDs to take the same color. The hue of the logo and the scroll wheel are different than the hue of the side buttons. This may be due to the white material behind the buttons, but it is something to note that you might want to change those if you want the color to match accurately. Something else about the LEDs that I noticed, which we didn't see before, if I open the lock and rotate a couple of these, you can see the bottom row does not light up because the LEDs are right above the buttons. So in this case, you have the light above 2 and the light below 6. If I rotate, we can see that the light below 6 is the light above 10. There is no light below 10. So this may be a bit annoying if you're into your color matching and symmetry. Let's have a quick roundup of what I think are the positives and negatives of this mouse. First off, at its price point of €70, it has a massive amount of buttons, although you can't have all 12 side buttons at the same time, but you get 8 side buttons. It has a thumb rest. It is configurable in a way the side buttons can be shifted if you want to play an MMO, if you want to play a MOBA. It does have amazing software configuration. It's insanely customizable, and that's a very big positive for this mouse. And it does have quite a familiar design as we've seen before, so that helps a lot if you're coming from that sort of mouse. The not so good, the build is completely plastic, so it does feel cheap in hand. Not saying that it won't perform, but it will feel a bit cheaper than other mice. The LEDs will not match hue because of the white material that's here and the lack of the LEDs if you rotate the side buttons, and it has no coating on the surface to help with grip. That being said, I've used this mouse daily for over a month now. I've had no issues using it. I keep the DPI on the low. It goes up to 12,000 DPI. Usually my DPI is around 2,300 and I'm quite satisfied with that. But it does go all the way up to 12,000 if you like setting it up quite fast. But it has been great to use day to day. The only thing I think would help a bit more for day to day use is the coating. Other than that, I have no complaints about the usability of this mouse. Thanks again to gamers.com.mt for sending me the TT eSports Nemesis Switch Optical RGB gaming mouse, and thanks to you for watching another review. Remember, if you're on YouTube, the like and dislike buttons are down there. There is also a subscribe button if you're on Facebook. Don't forget to follow my page, and if you like live gaming, I am quite regularly on Twitch. All the links can be found in the relevant positions down below. Thanks again for watching. Take care.